Rasslin Rage. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. Let's do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Let's do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade.
And now it's time for Rasslin Rage with your host, Cody Fleming.
And here we are. Hello, everybody. How you doing today? Thank you for joining us here on Rasslin Rage, r2youtube.com, the letter R, the number 2, youtube.com. I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the longest reigning XICW Xtreme Intense Champion, Dre Jacobs. I'm going to ask him some questions or maybe even just have a conversation because there's not a lot to ask. We know what there is to know. But before I ask him that, please smash that button down there. Subscribe, right? Make that button gray. If it's red, you haven't subscribed. So smash it, make it gray. Also, right next to that, there's a little bell. That's the notification button, right? You click that and say when I go live, it'll give you a notification 30 minutes prior to let you know, hey, Cody's about to interview Dre Jacobs. You better get your ass on YouTube, okay? There's that one. And then also down in the description, you will find links to Dre Jacobs's all his social media, okay? You will also find links to XICW's website and all their good stuff, okay? Mr. Dre Jacobs, my man, what's happening, dude? How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. I've had a very peaceful day. Haven't had a visitor up here yet, so
we're good there, huh?
Yeah. Well, until you start asking questions, and then
right.
there's trigger.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, hey, Sheepy's in there. Hello, how you doing, buddy? We got TJ Meyer in there. There's a bunch of people. War Inc.'s taking over the chat again, just so you know.
War Inc. takes over the chat.
That's right.
Pretty sure War Inc. is 90% of your chat at all times.
Well, that's good. I like it. I know TJ Meyer comes and hangs out all the time, and I really appreciate that. Before we get into the elephant in the room, because there's a couple of them. There's a couple elephants hanging out, all right? But I wanted to ask you a question that I didn't really get to ask before because it was really the first time that I had got to experience all that there is from the Warboy persona, right? What do you do to prepare yourself before coming out like that? Are you like bumping your head off shit, or what are you doing, dude? Like, are you ramping yourself up? How do you get in the mode? How do you get into the Warboy mode, dude?
It's honestly, it's literally like a switch. You know, I could be happy-go-lucky, smiling, cutting jokes, all while my entrance is playing. You know, and then the second that thing drops, it's just switch in my head, and it's out there, and it's heavy metal and aggression and everything like that. The best way I can describe it is like it's something that Freddie Mercury from Queen, Freddie Mercury used to do. Okay. You know, he would at stage and he'd be like laughing and cutting up, and his accent would be extremely heavy and things like you couldn't understand what he was saying. And then the second they start playing that music, his eyes like light up, and there you go. Like right. That switch just, you know, that's really the best way I can describe it. You know?
Okay. Now, have you always been able to turn it on or turn it off like that? Or is this something that you've like learned over the time that you've been in the business?
It's definitely something I've learned over time. It's weird because it's like I still get nervous sometimes. And they say if you don't get nervous anymore, you don't really love what you're doing and things like that. But it's like riding a bike, you know, you're going to fall off a couple of times, but the more you pedal, the more you practice and everything like that, the more you get the hang of it. So that like, I'm always nervous. That's always there.
Right.
But then the second that switch hits, it's like, there's nothing, there's no sign of that scared little kid that's afraid to go on stage and sing his solo during the choir session. You know what I mean?
Right. Now you go out, before you had this Warboy thing going on, when you know you were still very intense, okay?
Yeah.
But I would say you've taken it up a couple notches there with this thing. the wastelands, the what's the word I'm looking for? You see this consistency amongst what you're doing there. Where does it come from? Where is there a motivation behind it? Is there something that led to it?
There's actually a lot. You know, a lot of people see, you know, the persona and they think, oh, it's just like a monster type gimmick. And there's really a lot of hidden meaning in the things that I do. Everything down to my face paint designs to the buttons I have on my jacket. They all have significant meaning and they all tell a story. The persona itself has been a part of me for a long time, as it represents mental illness, which is something we've talked about this before on the last one, that I suffer from mental illness. And, you know, one of the things I want to do is kind of use that to motivate others and help others. And, but so it's always been there, you know what I mean? Like it's all, the drive for it has always been there. It's just the tools, getting the tools together to make it happen.
Yeah.
Always like been absent until now.
Right.
But yeah, but it's like everything I've got into this persona has its own story. Like for instance, the 3 slashes I have on my left eye that actually represents injury. Because one of my major injuries is I have no orbital bone right here.
Oh, wow.
It was completely knocked loose, and it was like floating in my sinus cavity for the longest time. Until I just like, yeah. So the slashes over my eye represent injury. You know, sometimes I'll have stitches on one side of my mouth, and then the other mouth is wide open. This, like, the stitches represent silence and willing to learn. You know, because you know the old saying is "shut your mouth, open your ears."
Right.
Side with the wide mouth, it represents hunger. Like you're hungry, you want more, you're ready to go out there and feed. You know, so like everything that's on there represents something.
Well, I'm glad I asked that question, because I didn't know that. That's really sweet. That's kind of like the benefit of doing this, right? I get to learn all these cool things about people that I watch all the time that I would have never even knew. That's
like, once you see it, once you see it out there, after you know, you're like, oh yeah, I totally get it now. You know, so there's more to it, and I've always like hiding Easter eggs. You know, you go to the movies and you look for Easter eggs in like the big Marvel movies, or when you're playing games and you look for Easter eggs and references and stuff. I do that with my character, and I think that's really fun. A lot of people should do that, I think.
Right. That's cool. Now, I noticed recently in some social media posts that you were making some modifications to your gear. Is that something you've always done? Like, now, do you make all your gear, or do you just make parts of your gear?
The entrance attire is all mine, and of course, my girlfriend helps me with it because she's the artistic one.
Right.
My gear, however, like my wrestling gear, however, is professionally made. I usually go to eLucha. eLucha has done my stuff since I was 16 years old.
Right.
I've recently gone to Congo for my new stuff coming out pretty soon. Keep an eye out.
I hear a lot of people going to Congo. Matter of fact, somebody posted the other day that they wanted somebody, and like it was like 900 like they just kept tagging Congo like 900 times, like, hey, did you check that guy out, because he knows how to do it. So
yeah,
that was
he does. I've seen his work. He does really. When Alex and I were teaming, and he had the black and silver and the white matched my jumpsuit.
Yeah, I remember that.
Congo did that, and he did it in like a week. Like Alex was like then, and Congo was like, here you go, and it was perfect. So
yeah, absolutely. Have you considered, because I see a lot of guys now doing their own gear, you know, or making their own gear, you know, pants, whatever, and just learning how to do it. Is that something you've ever considered doing? Or
I've thought about it, but I don't have the time.
Yeah, that's a lot of it sometimes with anybody. If you want to do it all, but man, it's hard to find time, especially when you got little ones running around.
Oh yeah, and and the times I don't have them running around is like, that's the time that's dedicated to my other goals and aspirations, like the whole, I think I've told you before, I write screenplays.
Yeah, you did.
Things like that. So usually a lot of that goes to that. So,
boy, wouldn't that be amazing? One day we see screenplay on HBO or something, or
I
the
mean, that's
Warboy Dre Jacobs.
a goal. I when I was in high school, I did a lot of student films and directing. So,
Man,
yeah.
see, find new shit out all the time. I love this, man. That's awesome. So you're really into that stuff then, eh?
Yes.
Okay, well, I gotta ask, what's like your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, geez. It shouldn't be that hard of a question.
But it is. There's so many.
It depends on the genre. Like, I'm obviously a Mad Max fan.
Oh,
like,
no, I couldn't tell.
Yeah. So anything Mad Max or post-apocalyptic related, I'm into. But I really like Django Unchained, and I really like Quentin Tarantino's style.
I love that movie, dude. I love that movie.
I'm a big fan of Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, absolutely. Quentin Tarantino is one of those guys that just has something, and it's nothing like, none of his movies are the same. You know, they're never the same. And, you know, a lot of guys you see, they write a lot of the same shit. You know, it's just the same thing with a little tweak here and there, like Windows operating system. They just tweak some shit, right?
One of my favorite things that he does is he puts somebody, like in Reservoir Dogs, like he puts these guys in a room, and then that's the entire movie, or these guys just in the room, and it's just nothing but dialogue, and he's able to build like tension,
right?
You know, or have you seen The Hateful Eight?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
All right, I won't give anything away, but it's like The Hateful Eight. It takes place in this small haberdashery, and the whole movie just takes place in this confined space. And he's so good at creating tension in a confined space.
Yeah,
you know. And I'm like, wow, like that's something I want to do.
Right. Yeah, that's cool, man. Well, I think it's time to ask this question. Now, we've talked about it a lot. I've talked about it a lot with Dan and Josh and everybody. And now I've done a few interviews. You know, I've had Tommy on the show. I've had his manager now, the 24K Lion, Jermiah Goldmain, on the show as well. And there's a consistent thing here where they talk about the Warboy Dre Jacobs, and more so the title and possibly a death match with said Dre Jacobs. At the last house, there was House Party 1, then there was House Party 2. Now at House Party 1, Tommy Vendetta was there. However, he wasn't competing against you. You were in that awesome match between you and the Black Sheep and Maynard. That was a great fucking match, by the way. I love that match. Dude, no, seriously, that was a great match. That's why I put that fucker up, because it was awesome.
Honestly, that was all them. I did not. If you go back and watch, I did absolutely nothing that entire match. So that's all Sheepy and Maynard.
Yeah, it was a great match. It really woke up the crowd, because at that point they didn't know what to do. You know, they didn't really know. And then you guys come out and woke them right the fuck up. And then we went to break, and they come back and they were still hyped up. So that says a lot about that match, in my opinion. So then we go to House Party 2. No Tommy Vendetta. And, you know, you come out. Where is he? I got it on tape, too. Where is he? No Tommy Vendetta. Well, then we have Jermiah Goldmain on, and he states, well, he was booked somewhere else. It's obviously he ain't going to go there and then come all the way here. But that begs to ask the question, did he take that booking to hide from Jay Jacobs? What's your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I get it. You know, I get it. He doesn't get it. I get it. Tommy's a busy guy, you know, and he's one of the, I'm not going to lie, he's one of the most sought after young guys in the Michigan area today, you know?
Yeah.
And personally, Dre Jacobs loves Tommy Vendetta. I would give the kid the world off my back if I could. This guy has other opinions, obviously. My Mr. Hyde, if you will.
Right.
Can't Tommy Vendetta. He hates somebody who issues a challenge but then doesn't back it up. So coming from his perspective, and he's not here, so I can't really speak for him, but coming from his perspective is, I feel like, you know, if you're going to pick a fight, be there to fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless of what your reasoning is, you know, if you're going to stand up and fight, or if you're going to say that you're going to stand up and fight and then you're not there, you know, you're wasting people's time and everything like that.
Right. Well, that begs that, you know, because he said in the interview, you know, he was talking about, you know, he at one of the previous interviews that I had him and with the Death Threat Army, we talked about, you know, like things that he wanted to do, and having a death match was one. And then on the interview, he named 3 people that he would like to have a said match with, and you were in that group.
Mm-hmm.
In there, he talked about possibly throwing like I don't know, I've never seen this, but a Lego death match. I no clue what that is, but he was making shit up. That's what it is.
Like, what are we gonna do? Like make sticks with Legos and then hit each other? I understand what he's going for. I think he just wants to have Legos in the match.
There you go. I like it.
But if anybody's ever stepped on a Lego, they know that shit hurts. So
right now,
I mean, this scar right here is from Legos and everything like that.
Was that from Warrior Rampage when you took on Jeff King, or is that a different one?
Oh, that was actually the show we did for Noah.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. Well, I was there too, so I'm good with that. So we talked a little bit about the difference between Dre Jacobs and the Warboy, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Is there? I have to ask this because I think I said something along the lines of that. I don't care where you two go at it, but to me, it's not going to be the same unless it's for that title. Because I think, and this is my personal opinion, and then there comes a question with it, because I think that there's possibly a different Warboy when it's for that title than if, say, he's just out there fighting. Am I right to say that?
Absolutely. The war, when it comes to that belt, you know, first of all, let me say this: October, if I can make it to October, it's 2 years. You know, and
that deserves an award or something.
The way he looks at it, that's his kingdom,
right?
Oh, that's his citadel. That's his peace in the wasteland. That's the one thing that he cares about,
right?
And I feel like when he does fight for that, he's fighting for so much more than just his ego or himself.
Absolutely.
You know, so I agree with you. I do think that there's a different level of intensity, or a different level of Warboy that we're getting for that belt versus when he's out and about roaming the wasteland. You know, like when it comes to that belt, it's not about survival. It's about, you know, taking everything that he's worked for and trying to hold on to it. Like, that's his essence. That's his life.
Right.
You know, versus going out there and just killing somebody to kill somebody.
Right. With the Xtreme Intense Championship, the rules are slightly different as far as a standard championship, right? Like, so MM3 has that Midwest belt, and weaponized master Moonsault Alex Weir has the lightweight championship. There's no stipulations on those belts unless that's in the match. There is stipulations on this belt. Am I right?
Yes. The main one is like XICW wanted to rebrand the Xtreme Intense Championship. And the way they did that is by recreating their division and what the title represents. You know, when you're the Midwest champion, you're the champion of the entire Midwest.
Right.
When you're the lightweight champion, you're the champion of the entire lightweight division. When you're the Xtreme Intense champion, you're on your own. You're the most extreme and most intense guy in that locker room, because you have to be. And the main basic rule for it is, like, you can't have any outside interference. You know, sometimes in other championship matches there's shenanigans. You know, shenanigans happen. Can't have that in the Xtreme Intense division, because
I did not know that.
you're not the biggest or baddest guy. Notice that when Johnny Delicious is out there with me, he's he never really gets his hands dirty,
right,
as he usually, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And that's the reason why, is because there's serious ramifications if he gets involved. You know, the holder of that belt has to do it on their own. It's a survival division. It's really, that's what it's really about, is like, you have to be able to survive on your own. This is basically mama bird kicking you out of the nest, and you either fly or you fall, you know?
yeah.
Those are the options. So.
Okay, so we say October, that would be 2 years. So, you know, we're roughly, what, a year and a half now, somewhere in there, we'll say, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, just for conservative sense, okay, is Dre Jacobs different now than he was, say, a year and a half ago? And if so, how?
Absolutely. I believe, first of all, again, with the whole Warboy thing and battling mental illness, this hasn't really turned into a weakness anymore. This is no longer a weakness to me. This is a strength. You know, for years, it was like, hey, don't let this come out because people aren't going to like that. They're
Right.
not ready for, scared of that. And that's not the kind of person you want to be.
Right.
And then I learned, if I'm going to survive this division, I have to let that side out. You know, people have got to see the Hulk. You know, Bruce Banner can't come to a fight. He's got to get the Hulk to come to a fight. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So that, yeah, and I think that's where it's changed. It's like, I'm no longer afraid of this up here. It's my weapon, you know? And, you know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, yeah, I was afraid to be that person because I was afraid that if I slipped, I'd never come back.
Right.
But we are on pretty good terms right now. Like, there's not a lot of arguing going on up here. We both kind of want the same thing. So we might have different opinions, but we both want the same thing. So.
Is Warboy your Tyler Durden?
Yeah.
All right. All right. I just wanted to make sure. I'm glad you got that reference. I'm glad a lot of people wouldn't. But
hey, don't talk about it.
Yeah, don't do it. Well, you know, we talked a little bit about that three-way dance you guys had over there at the what was that? House Party 1. There we go. Mm-hmm. And I had Justin Dream on the show recently as well. And he's like, well, we're not going to talk. He said, we're not going to talk about the fact that I had Dre Jacobs pinned.
Yeah.
And there was some back and forth going on in the chat between you and him. Would you like to, you know, comment on that one a little bit here now that we got you here live?
He had me pinned and the referee wasn't paying attention. I'll admit, he had me down there for a good 8 seconds. But again, if the ref's not paying attention, you know, why waste energy kicking out of something you don't need to kick out of? You know what I mean? So yeah. I was aware of I was hurting, but I was aware of my surroundings. I mean, they were fighting each other over a pin. I just took a minute to like regain my bearings.
Right, I get it. Veteran status.
Yeah, exactly. you gotta be the ring awareness. You got to be aware of everything that's going on around you.
Right. Yeah. Wow. So TJ here says that he's been your partner for almost a year now, and he didn't even know the rules about that belt. So I didn't know either, but I thought that's really interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it than what the people see. So it was like, I remember watching the show and you guys were talking about like a lumberjack match, and you know, keeping guys from Kira Clan out or guys from DTA, and it's like that wouldn't work anyway, because if it was for the belt, if anybody came out to start something, you know, belt could be vacated, people could be suspended, things like that. So I mean, that wasn't even an option.
Right. Let's talk a little bit the status of independent wrestling, because we didn't even know when we were going to see wrestling again at one point. You know, we were all, you know, even the fans and the wrestlers were all chomping at the bit to get back out and see some wrestling, and you guys getting in the ring and doing your thing. You know, we were off for almost 3 months, stuck in it. Well, I wouldn't say we were literally stuck in our houses, but pretty much for the most part.
Yeah.
Now that we're back, we're not in full capacity yet because we're not doing indoor shows, number one. You know, we're limited to the amount of people. We have the social distancing thing. We got the mask thing. We got all that stuff going on. What's your take on the outdoor thing that's now happening mostly here in our state? Because I haven't really seen anything else outside. You know, I know there's other places that are doing shows, but I see they're doing them indoors and there's no social distancing. So here in Michigan, that shit's got to happen. So what's your take on this whole thing?
I think that there's good and bad, to be honest with you. I think that, you know, with everything going on, you want to practice, you know, social distancing and the health guidelines given to us so that we're all safe. And then 3 months from now, we can have events indoors.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? I feel like wrestling right now, especially in the area, is a lot more challenging. You know, not as many eyes are going to be on you as they were before. But then also, it kind of helps because the people that do see you and the people that do see your work, you know, with all the undisclosed shows and the house party shows and all these other things going on, those people that still see you are still going to talk about you. And they're going to keep your name up and they're going to keep you relevant long enough to weather the storm that we're in.
Right.
It shows mainly that no matter what, wrestling is still alive. Wrestling is still here. You know, the guys that put in the work, you know, every week are still here.
Absolutely.
You know, you still have more options than WWE, AEW, you know. These indie guys are still working their asses off to entertain those guys, everyone who comes out and supports them no matter what. And I think right now, wrestlers, at least I am, in my opinion, are much more appreciative of not only the fans who come out and weather the storm and take that risk to support, but also the companies and the people behind the companies that are able to put it on and give guys a place to do their work. I know a lot of the criticism comes from, you know, a lot of these shows are taking place in people's backyards, and the whole thing is like, you know, why would we wrestle in the backyard when we hate the backyard wrestling and things like that? And I'm like, you have to look at it from a perspective of we're still professionally trained athletes. You know, we still all went to school to learn our craft. We still all had proper training to learn our craft. We're still a professional company, but it's we're just in a different venue.
Right.
Let's say venue. We're in a different venue, a different atmosphere than we were before all this.
Yeah.
And the guys who do understand that and do like put on these shows, not only for the fans, but for their talent, because a lot of the talent's gone crazy at themselves, not wrestling. I commend them for that. Like, I think that's probably one of the best things that they could possibly do during this time, you know,
Absolutely.
is to give these guys some ring time. So,
yeah, absolutely. Now, we have a mutual friend down in Ohio who's going through some things right now because there's no wrestling in Ohio. They have an athletic commission down there, and they said none of that. You can't do that right now. There's other things going on, but you know, there was mention on another interview from one Jermiah Goldmain who said something about you being from Ohio. Like, was that supposed to, what was that?
I don't know. I think, again, you know, I got trained in Ohio. You know, I lived in Ohio for, oh gosh, maybe 6 years. But I'm from Grand Haven, you know.
Oh, that's not far from me.
Yeah, I was on the lake like every day.
Oh man, so now
you
you were trained in Ohio. You're not from Ohio.
I'm not from Ohio.
And you got some friends down there. Everybody's got friends in the wrestling business in Ohio.
You know, I have friends in Florida. I have friends in Chicago. You know, I mean, just because you find tutelage there and you can learn something there doesn't mean that you're from that place. You know what I mean? But
it's got to suck being there right now.
I mean, so the current situation is terrible, obviously. But if you look at Ohio's wrestling history, it's one of the best places in the Midwest to be.
Right.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people, you know, crap all over Ohio and the wrestling scene. And there are a few more bad companies and there are good companies. And I'm not going to get into that.
Right.
But if you look at the history of wrestling in Ohio, you know, it's amazing. You know, I mean, they fall into that same category as, you know, Smoky Mountain and hell, Michigan. I didn't even know Michigan wrestling was as big as it was and how deep it was because I didn't know anything about it. And then when I'm in Ohio, you learn all this history behind it. You know, you have OVW, you have HWA, you have companies that have this following like AIW. You know, I mean, that Johnny Gargano. You know what I mean? He came out of that place. So there's a lot of history behind Ohio that doesn't get mentioned a lot, I feel. And I think it's because right now it's just masked by, we'll call them the shindies, if you will. Yeah, you know, all it takes is one bad apple. You know what I mean?
Oh, that was great. I love it. Well, you know, our mutual friend down there, he's being quite creative to keep things alive down there. And I'm sure he's got, you know, help with some other people too, but you know, a variety show, they're doing car washes. And listen, they're not doing it because they want to make money. They're doing it so they can pay the bills so they can keep the place open. You know, we're talking about one of the best trainers in the Midwest. Man, all right, we're talking about Cody Hawk. But anyways, when it comes to that dude, nothing but freaking respect all the way through and through. Just the fact that I know him, I feel honored. I mean, I've been in his presence, and I mean, that's awesome. You know, what's it like for you to be able to go work and be on that kind of basis with him and just go hang out and, you know, do whatever and wrestle for him and all that good stuff? Because I know you got a history with him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Cody Hawk was he was the first guy that I had been in the ring with that really gave me an opportunity to put all eyes on me. You know what I mean? It was him and my trainer are really cool. The Mountain Killer John Miller is the guy that trained me and everything like that. And him and Mountain were really cool, and they go way back and things like that. And the company, the brother company, I should say, that we worked for at the time, the guy just wanted to bury me left and right. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't give a damn about me. Any chance he got. And then what Cody did is he took all these guys that Mountain had trained and he was like giving them showcases, kind of like what he was doing. Have you heard about what he was doing for War Wrestling recently before everything got shut down? Like he was like doing like the if you can hang with me, you know, you can hang with anybody kind of thing. If you can get in the ring with me and hang with me, you can do that with anybody. And that's what he did for a lot of the guys that came out of Mountain School. And I was like the only kid that went 35 minutes with him, you know. At that time, I was the only kid that came out of that school to go 35 minutes with Cody Hawk. And ever since then, it's like he's even said on live shows, like, this is the kid to watch out for. This is the kid, you know, out of anybody out of this group, this is the kid that's gonna kill it.
Right.
Oh, and then years later, oh my gosh, maybe 8-9 years later, I get to have another match with him. And he's like, it's night and day. He's like, I can't believe how far you've come. You know, it's amazing to see what you're doing now. And now it's just like, I don't look at Cody so much as a teacher anymore or as a mentor, but as a friend.
Right.
And I think that speaks volume, you know, to build a relationship with somebody where it goes beyond just teacher, student, mentor, you know, things like that. Now it's like you have an ally for life.
Right.
I'm very appreciative of that. You know,
right. For me,
so.
this dude's trained some of the greatest in the business right now. You know what I'm saying? Guys that are legit holding some of the top titles and so on and so forth, and in the big matches in the big leagues. And he's so freaking humble, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you would never think that he trained those guys because he doesn't act like that. I got a story. Like, so his girlfriend was on a show here in Michigan. It was an all-ladies show. I was there. And this is what shows the professionalism of Cody Hawk. He was there. Nobody knew. Nobody had a clue. He actually sat in the crowd, and he did it to a point where nobody knew. And I didn't see him until we were tearing down the ring and tearing up and cleaning up the place. And I seen him, and he still didn't come out and, take away anybody's anything. And he was leaving. And I was like, hey, dude. And we just stop him. I'm like, hey, what's up? I didn't even know you were here. He's like, yeah, man, I just snuck in, dude. I'm going to get out of here, though. All right, man, have a good one. And he took off. But, that there shows just how professional that man is.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't want to take the eyes off of the guys or girls in this case, who are like busting their ass, Yeah. And I think more people should be like that, this business, I understand that this business is very cutthroat.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can take a minute to put that aside, to let the spotlight be on somebody else, especially if you're not on the show, a lot of guys will go on out in the crowd and try to hijack the show. And then for Cody, this isn't my time. This is their time. Let them have their moment. And I think that's really amazing. And more people should do that.
Absolutely. No,
for putting on the show.
Right.
Yeah.
The Black Sheep here says that he's performing stand-up at that variety show for Future Great Wrestling. That's pretty cool.
I want to make the drive to see it. I don't know if I can, but I do want to make the drive to see it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that they're doing more, and again, they're still trying to they're trying to keep the eyes on them and keep the lights on in the building and everything like that. As where a lot of people have just kind of given up. Mm-hmm. These guys have made a home where they're at, and it would suck if they lost that. So I commend them for everything that they're trying to do. And it's cool because it's like wrestlers are also stepping out of their comfort zone and trying other things. I believe this is the first time Sheepy is doing this. So
that's cool.
And I know he's got stories, and I'm sure he's going to tell a bunch of them that involve us. I want to go and see what he tells and everything like that. So.
Right. There's always good. I think some of the best stories come from wrestlers, and personally myself, maybe it's because I'm such a wrestling fan, but I love listening to, road stories or, we were in this town and this happened and this went on. And, I had the opportunity not recently, it was before the pandemic. And, I got to go to the House of Truth and sit down with Truth Martini and Mad Irish Eamon. And they were telling us some of their old stories growing up together in Hamtramck. And, you can only imagine some of the stories that comes from Truth Martini. That guy's been all over the place, so good stuff there. It's going to be road stories from wrestlers are the best, says TJ Meyer. That is a true story. Now, I want to remind everybody that down in the description is the social media links for Dre Jacobs. Now, that's not at Dre Jacobs or whatever. No, that's the actual link. So all you got to do is click it. It'll take you right to whatever profile, if it's on Twitter, Instagram, whatever. And you can subscribe, follow, and I believe his YouTube channel's down there as well. So go over there and subscribe because he's up to something. He's up to all kinds of things, I hear. So, and I don't want to give it, I think he wants to keep that shit to himself. So let him do that.
No, if you don't mind, I would actually like to
plug that shit. Let's go.
So last year, I know I mentioned we were going to have a show that involves, because I see the chat right now and they're going crazy with like stories and stuff. Sheepy and I are still working on our series called Reminisce, where we do just tell funny stories or maybe even some tragic stories of things that have happened to us. And it's just all different kinds of sorts of fun. I know Sheepy wants to get a gaming channel together. So like a Twitch stream or something like that, where it's just warring guys messing with each other on video games and stuff
there
like
you go.
that.
Team deathmatch.
There's so much. There's so much that we can do. I love being a content creator. I'm on TikTok like all the time. I'm always
addicting.
So are you and Tommy wrestling at the next XI show? Colton, if he shows up. If he shows up, I will punch him in the face and we will start it right then and there.
There
you go. But anyway, yeah, I love creating content. There's so much I like to dabble in and things like that. And I know there's so much that he likes to dabble in. So here's hoping that our minds come together and we can create more than just wrestling for those who aren't wrestling. And then we can pull those guys in, so
being creative like that, being somebody that, obviously you've worked on creating a character, you worked on creating all kinds of things, right? Do you find it sometimes like, because I know with myself, I find myself pretty creative, I guess you could say. And I find myself like constantly coming up with ideas for stuff, and I got to write it down, or I'll lose it, and then I get worried, and then I'm trying to remember. Do you find yourself doing stuff like that?
All the time. I got up maybe at 3:00 this morning because it's like, oh wow. I woke up and I was like, oh wow, here's an idea, and I'm like, cool. I'll write it down tomorrow, and then I'm just laying there and I'm like, I better write that down now because I'll forget. I have like 6 other ideas that will pop in my head. So.
That's how it is. That's how it is with us and Josh and Dan when we're doing our stuff for the show. We're firing out ideas, and we have all these ideas, and we never write them down. And I'm always stoned, so I never forget or never remember. So, hi. Where's Josh say here? Warboy and Tommy forget that noise when are going to see Dre versus the longest reigning champion in XICW for the Proving Ground Championship again.
Oh man. I don't know. I know he's taken a lot of time off because of the whole pandemic and everything. And I know before that he's inside jokes. He's been making some impacts in some other companies. So if he's never not too busy or anything like that, yeah, I mean, I would take on the XICW Proving Ground Champion. Let's put it on the line.
Yeah, there you go. I really enjoy your promos where you say 1,000 words without speaking once.
Oh yeah. That's actually something I learned from Undertaker. Just like his ability to like be able to go out there and just captivate the audience with his energy. Not say a word. Look at the promo for him and Triple H. I can't remember which WrestleMania it was. It was the one before the Hell in the Cell match. But it was him and Triple H, and they both went out there, and the second Triple H grabbed the mic, or it was second Undertaker grabbed the mic, Triple H came out there, and then they just stared at each other for 5 minutes, and then it was like TV went dark, and they moved on to the next segment. But you knew exactly what was going to happen. You knew that this is the match. Holy crap, Triple H, Undertaker, and they said so many things without uttering a single word, and I think if you can do that, you're truly an artist, when it comes to promos and things like that. So
when you finally get your hands on Tommy Vendetta and it goes down, is there anything that you would really like to do to him besides choke the life out of him?
Like I said, me personally, no, I love Tommy.
The Warboy.
And he, gosh, we've talked about this. He's screaming in my ear right now, actually, like 100 different things at once. I believe one of the things he said is he wants to stab Tommy in the face with a pick. He wants to stab him in the eye with a pick and pull it out and then eat it like that. It's just things like that. He's insane. He's
obviously.
He's talked about ripping off his leg and beating him with his own leg and things like that. Things I really don't want to get into.
Oh yeah. Dude, I'll lose stuff, dude. YouTube will be like, no, you can't put that on.
Yeah.
One last question before we get out of here. The question, there's been talks of factions versus factions and all this stuff, and we talked about War Inc. versus the Nomads. We talked about War Inc. versus DTA and Nomads versus DTA and yada yada yada. We talked all about it, right? Here's my idea. You ready? Put all of you in a cage and let all of you go at it. What do you think?
You're gonna need a bigger cage. That's a lot of that's a lot right there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, War Games that up. 2 rings, big cage. I'm down for that.
Yeah,
I absolutely
let's do it.
Yeah. You know, DTA versus War Inc. has been happening off and on for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Nomads and War Inc. has been in the making for like 5 years now. You know, back when it was just CJ Anderson and Ace Evans, and it was just me and Mountain Killer. You know, that's been in the works forever, and it just never came to happen. It's never happened yet, and it's slowly but surely starting to gain momentum too. So if we want to just say screw it and combine all 3 War Game style,
Let's get it.
with all of us, I'm down to do it.
There you go.
Down to do it.
Fans bring the weapons. No.
Throw them over the top of the cage.
There
We'll
you
catch
go. There you go. As long as nobody goes through the cage, at least on the top, right? We'll be all right.
Yeah.
It will be good. Well, again, I do want to say thank you so much. I'll be seeing you soon at
Yes.
a show coming up soon. So I want to say, thank you again for coming on and setting the record straight as far as everybody. You're not from Ohio.
Yeah,
All right?
Jeremiah.
Not from
Get
Ohio.
it together. Get your facts right.
Facts matter. Now, again, remember all the social media links, YouTube, all that stuff is down there. You also can find links to Podbean. What's Podbean? Well, Podbean is where we host our audio content for my interviews, for Rasslin Rage, for Michigan Independent Weekly. There's a link down there. You'll find this on there eventually too. I'm on overtime right now, so I do not have a lot of time. I'm working on it. I'll get there, I promise. So check that out down there. Also, you can find links to all Rasslin Rage social media and Michigan Independent Weekly's group, where you can find all the events going on here in the state of Michigan and any content that I can find. And if you find something, please share it in the group. We only have it set to approve because people from all over the place like to try to share stuff in our group, and we want to keep it Michigan only. We don't want Florida. No offense, Florida, but it's Michigan, all right? We love you too. However, we're in Michigan. All right. So, again, thank you so much, Warboy, and everybody that has joined us tonight. We will see you Sunday at 8 p.m. for Rasslin Rage on r2youtube.com. That's the letter R, the number 2, youtube.com. Peace. There we go.
It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage.